I don't want to leave without our dear friend, Rudy Giuliani over here, who's in a brown suit today, and has this weird, what is that, a Roger Stone action figure back here behind him? That's new. Remember, he used to have the eagle was over there. Now there's a book on Thomas Paine, and then a bow-tied something. I don't know who the fuck that is. That's got to be a known statue, right? Yes, Rudy has lost weight. Because you don't eat as well, I guess when you're under indictment. Oh, yeah. 437 rumbles on this. 5,000 views. And you have to understand, he's got a radio show in New York. He's in one of these high population cities. These numbers should be way friggin' higher, Rudy. But this is called, where is it? Warning, a move towards government controlling private economy. And I'm guessing he's not talking about removing Section 230 so the government can force private social media companies to carry the accounts of government officials, which is the part that he's inserting. It's not Colonel Sanders. I know Colonel Sanders. Colonel Sanders doesn't wear a hat.
And I'm back again with an episode.
Hold on, wait.
Welcome. This is Rudy Giuliani, and I'm back again with an episode of Rudy's Common Sense. Today the question is, are we on an express train to socialism?
I have an answer. I know the answer. No. Clearly not. Okay. Are we on an express train to socialism? Why the fuck does he always look like a character, like a guy who played a boss on Taxi? Jesus. I need some more my house parts. You need to move your Venmo. Oh, I do? Yeah, because it's behind my head. Yeah, it's probably not a good place for it. We've seen a downturn in Venmo since I moved. I'm sorry, I can't get over Rudy's fucking face right now. I'll fix it. I'll move it someplace else. Yeah, maybe we'll swap it with my signature thing or something. Thank you for pointing that out. This reminds me of like funny faces that Weird Al Yankovic makes sometimes. Just saying. He's Louis De Palma. Yeah.
Maybe even socialism on steroids.
Yeah, I don't know. Trump was on prednisone, I think. You'll have to ask him.
Could it be communism?
Ooh.
Well,
could it be communism? No.
Let's take a look at it.
Yeah, let's take a look. Here we go. So, this is the premise of the video, are we on a bullet train to socialism, perhaps, communism?
It does seem as if Bernie Sanders was actually elected president, and kind of a Bernie Sanders with even more energy than he has, and AOC, the vice president, I think.
Okay.
But I mean, we're moving towards socialism at a much faster rate than I think we ever anticipated under Sanders. The Democrats thought they defeated socialism by defeating Sanders, and they got Biden, who seems to be...
Dude, all that was on the first sheet?
His administration, not Biden himself. He doesn't seem to be awake most of the time. But his administration seems to be on an express train headed right for, I would say, socialism on steroids.
Yeah, we like the idea. It's a good sales point. You were told, say socialism on steroids.
The agenda is headed there on every front. I almost can't...
Every single front. Yes, socialism's coming. Just tell us which ones. Give us an example. I'm sure it's going to knock it out of the park.
Find an exception. Crime?
Yes, we are socializing crime.
Well, we've got crime rates going up in the Democrat cities by records.
Well, in a socialist or communist society, they kill them without due process at all. I don't know that socialists... Did the Soviet Union have a tendency to say, like, when there was a riot or I'd say an insurrection, Did they just scoop those people up and go, fuck it, let them out?
I know my city best, obviously.
What city is that? Boca?
In my city, we've never set records like this. Last year, shootings went up 100% under Cuomo and de Blasio.
And Trump.
And I'd say 90. It wasn't just New York.
Yeah, they did have a shoot one, get one free policy that I think was really took up. Thanks. Thank you for the hype train, guys.
New York, I mean, St. Louis.
I didn't realize you had to have a wind up to say St. Louis. St. Louis.
Democrat mayor, Soros DA. Philadelphia, Democrat mayor, Soros DA.
Wow. We dropped a super Jew within 3 minutes.
L.A., Democrat mayor who they had to send off for an ambassadorship because the city is going to you-know-what.
He's still there. There might be somebody new in there soon, though.
And a Soros DA they're trying to recall.
Sorry if it's freezing up again. Let's see. Yeah. Is this better? A little smoother? A little better? It might be a restream thing. I hope not. Am I moving? Am I moving? Hello? Hal need to home and be with his mother. Okay. Thanks, Brian. Yeah, the Super Jew.
This is
Ugh. That's so gross.
the guy who ruined San Francisco. But now they got another Soros DA in San Francisco who's kind of picking up the job. Crime rates going through the roof. My goodness, in Seattle and Portland.
Yeah, it's not going through the roof. I still don't understand what part of it is socialism or communism. Audio's 8 seconds. Really? We're doing that again? That's better? Okay, thanks. Sorry, guys. Yeah, Soros. Yeah.
Looks like New York in the bad days.
Yeah, in the bad days. When Soros used to pick all the... Oh, you mean when you were mayor?
Every single one that I mentioned to you is a Democrat city, and I left out.
Yeah, what else? You left out the fact that they're also the richest cities in the country.
The big one, Chicago. I mean, last 3 weekends. I mean,
It's great. This is a good show so far. Okay, bitch about crime rates. Go for it. Good talking point. Knock it out of the park. What the fuck does that have to do with socialism or communism?
I kind of get nervous just saying it. Being in law enforcement, if I were the mayor...
Law enforcement? Oh, it's right, because you're making up stories, so that's law enforcement. I see.
Mayor of Chicago, I kind of think sometimes back like when I was mayor of New York and how much the crimes bothered me and how fast I wanted to bring them down. How
and now you don't care?
Anxious I got when it didn't work and how glad I was and happy for the police when it did. And I think to myself, how could I have lived through a 4th of July with 100 shootings? That's not that big a city. It's...
Yeah, but you had fewer people and fewer guns.
You know, it's like less than half the size of New York.
Asshat, what the fuck does this have to do with a bullet train to socialism?
100 shootings? Oh, and then they came down the next weekend. They had 77. This weekend, 11 people dead. Did you see a Black Lives Matter rally? Of course, those were a lot of black lives those 3 weekends. Probably 70, 80% black lives. Did you see?
But they're trained Marxists. They don't have time for that. There's no money in it.
A Black Lives Matter rally? Gee, I must have missed it. No, they were planning how to give hormones to your 7 or 8-year-old child so they could switch genders.
Fucking hell, what? Rudy, stay on point. Nudnik, I don't need to hear about your fetishes right now. We just need to figure out whether your premise is bullet train to socialism, maybe communism, go.
Because as you will find out, Black Lives Matter is not about black lives.
Not in the way Rudy is.
It's about confiscation of property, communism, re-education
Yeah, tell us about that.
of your children, and adjustment of gender. We'll get into that.
Well, of course we will. We're talking about socialism.
So, I mean, that's kind of what it looks like in America right now. You didn't think we'd be here a year from now, a year ago, did you?
Well, yeah, we had a lot of similar numbers last year. A lot of these problems have been building for the last 3 years in particular. It wouldn't be surprised that after everybody comes back out after a pandemic that people would, do this kind of stuff, that the numbers would go up. Every kind of numbers like that are going up in general. So yeah. What the fuck does that have to do with socialism?
This record crime, these tremendous changes in our way of life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, socialist genders.
Well, if you ever had any doubt about the Biden administration.
Yes, my gender is socialism. My pronouns are Marx and Marxism now, just for the record.
Whatever that is.
The fuck is he talking about?
Commitment to socialism last Thursday.
Oh, that's when it
I
happened.
think it was Thursday.
Probably could have been Thursday.
Week. Biden made it about as clear as anyone could understand. And I'm not even saying the media covered this up. He's doing so many other things wrong. There are so many other crises going on, whether it's the border or the Middle East or
the border with the Middle East.
Whatever is going on with China.
Yeah, what is going on with China? I mean, you should know. Tell us what's going on with China, besides massive flooding and possibly the Three Gorges Dam has gone down, and one of their biggest tech buildings in Tianjin is wobbling and might fall over, and they're having basically like a Miami collapse a week. What's going on?
We don't even notice it. He basically did something that...
It's almost like we're not noticing problems that only exist in your fucking head.
If it were done 20 years ago, every newspaper would say, headed to communism.
Every one of them. Right across the top. Headed, well, of course, obviously not the ones funded by Rockefellers and Soros and Super Jews. Those would obviously go, what's the problem? They'd have...
What was it? It was his plan, his economic plan for the entire American economy.
Okay, the economic plan for the entire American economy, socialism, here it comes.
Now, I've gone back and checked.
Have you checked the back of your head? Because apparently, when you did were you wearing a bicycle helmet when you dyed your hair? Fuck it, what is that hairdo called? The Oreo? What is happening? Look at that. Because it's basically he dyes his hair only in the areas he can see it. What is that? It's like a perfect wedge. It just kind of, he went shh. He just sprays the top of his head and then wipes off the skin part.
We've never had like a 5-year plan, 10-year plan given to us by our executive for our economy. Now, Stalin had one of those.
Well, sure. Yeah, that worked out.
And even Khrushchev had one of those, and Mao had one, and
he didn't have a 5-year plan. They had like a 50-year plan, or just to wipe everything.
The only one I can find right now is Xi Jinping in communist China.
Xi Jinping? I'm not sure who that is. We'll have to look it up.
This is a communist.
Xi Jinping might be someone that might have that kind of a plan or something, but Xi Jinping, I don't know who that is.
Playbook. The 5-year plan, the 10-year plan.
Yeah, only commies have a 5-year plan and a 10-year plan. Who the fuck plans for things? What kind of anti-capitalist bullshit is this, having a strategy? The fuck? Listen, this is genuinely his argument, that having a 5 or a 10-year plan is communism.
15-year plan for the entire economy. Well, Beijing Joe has now laid out a plan.
It's Beijing Biden, dum-dum.
And you can look at the newspapers that are owned and operated by the Democrat Party, and you can see boldest plan ever, broadest plan ever, spans almost all of business. Biden mandates by executive order.
Okay, this is it. This is the socialism. Here it comes. This is going to be it. Guys, are you ready? Because, wow, we're about to get hit with the socialism hammer right now.
That businesses.
This is hilarious. It is. Nothing's funnier than a little socialism in the afternoon.
that are too concentrated will be subjective to massive regulations that will be imposed by the executive branch.
You mean the request that they enforce current antitrust law?
Ostensibly to reduce the tremendous business concentration that is going on in the United States and to increase competition.
Uh-huh. You mean like break up big tech, break up big media, the stuff that Trump was actually saying?
Now, that last part is
Yes, Rudy still has his radio show.
like Orwell's 1984. Remember, please listen to me and you're going to see this will work.
Okay, all right. Everybody pay attention. Come on, guys. Guys, settle down. Pens down. You in the back. Did you bring enough for everybody? All right, then don't spit it in the waste paper spit it in the waste paper basket right now. Good shot. That was good. 2 points at the buzzer. All right. Let's everybody. Here it comes.
If they say they're going to increase competition, what are they
They say they're going to increase competition. It means they're going to increase competition.
really going to do? Come on.
What?
They're going to remove competition.
They're removing it. There is no competition. No one can compete. They're
I'm going to show you how.
Okay, show us how they're going to remove competition.
First of all, there's only one place where the experts, the economists, agree there's too much concentration,
And that's in LinkedIn.
and that's in big tech. And they're not going to do much about big tech because big tech are Democrats. They're not just Democrats, they're part of the conspiracy to censor. You
Yeah, especially Peter Thiel's of the world.
think that censorship is just being done by Google and Twitter and all the rest of those oligarchs?
No, of course not. I mean, Parler will kick you off if you shit talk the president. So will Gator. If you try to shit talk Trump, they'll kick you off. And you don't even have to violate the terms of... It's in the terms of service that you cannot insult Trump, because it's a cult app, essentially. Huh?
You don't think that's being done in conjunction with the Democrat Party? How come they
Yeah.
just censor the things
that
that help Democrats and hurt Republicans?
I don't know. I mean, you still have your account on Twitter. Ben Shapiro does. Candace Owens still does. Newsmax and OAN both have Twitter accounts. Why are you still on Twitter if they're evil? Is the question, I think.
Huh? They got left-wing groups calling for murder. They don't censor it, and some guy says the election is questionable and he's off for 2 years.
You say that all the time. You're still online. And which groups? Cite one. Anybody calls for murder, cite it.
Sometimes the language the big tech co-conspirators use are exactly the same as the Democrat playbook. So they're not going to hit them
Yes, we all speak English, Rudy.
very, very hard. Maybe economically here
Yes, he does have a Twitter. He still is.
and there. But they're not going to break into that censorship. It's their censorship along with that.
Sure.
But aside from big tech, where I certainly agree, you need a Teddy Roosevelt to break them up the way we broke up
See what I mean? What the do? What's up with the do?
the telephone companies and the
I mean, it's straight up Billie Eilish. What the fuck?
way back in Teddy's day we broke up big steel and the big industries.
Oh, did we?
The rest of the American economy, economists who know far more about it than I do are in disagreement. That would be the most honest way you can put it. Some think we are too concentrated. Some think we're not concentrated enough.
Yeah. There's a bunch of people who think we aren't concentrated enough. Can you think of a dumber way to A-B this argument? There's some... Yes, Big Wreck is awesome, by the way, the band. Yeah, for the record. The first record is just... it's the balls.
The CEO of the Business Roundtable, John Bolton, was quoted in the Wall Street Journal about
When a man loves a woman... Is that what he said?
this, that the breadth of issues, meaning the broad
The breadth?
range of businesses he's attempting to regulate, could rather undermine competitiveness rather than assist it.
Could undermine it rather than... So it's his economic opinion that it might actually harm it if they try to break up too many the bigger, like Amazon, for example, which is definitely one of the ones that they're talking about on the chopping block all the time. All right, 1984. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So let's just agree for a moment
that you were right in your premise earlier, even though you haven't proven the point.
this is not one of those things that all the experts agree on. That there's too much concentration. If they don't agree on it, and it isn't a foregone conclusion, why would you do
Why would you gnaw on your knuckle?
massive, across the board, total readjustment of our economy, laying thousands of regulations on these companies?
Well, you wouldn't, and you're not. Where do you think that's happening?
What would be your reason for it if it's not clear that they're really that concentrated? Maybe it's
Communism, obviously.
because your
You're a Marxist?
real goal is to have the government run private business, right?
Well, then you would want more concentration, so you don't have to take over 10 companies, you only have to take over one. The fuck are you talking about?
Well, it is. That's what it's doing. You see, it's telling private business what to do.
No, it's not.
And if it doesn't do it, then it fines it, stops it, seizes it, or arrests it, meaning the people. So the government is running the private business.
No, it isn't.
The plan is not just socialist or communist, because that's what happens in a socialist or communist country. The government runs the businesses.
Right. But what other government exists in the world where governments are run by the businesses because the businesses have no check on them whatsoever? That would be fascism.
In the case of our economy, it's ignorant and stupid.
Except where you want to break up the big techs or whatever. In the case of big tech, obviously, that's not ignorant and stupid. I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Ignorant and stupid. Go ahead.
Because we just went through this. We did. We had under Obama government by massive regulations. I used to do speeches in which I'd pile up the Code of Federal Regulations and it'd go through the roof. And then I'd pile it up when I became a lawyer. It was this big. And almost every one of those regulations was put on by a Democrat. And I would go to businesses that would say to me, the regulations are killing us more than the taxes. And I'll tell you, candidate Trump. Well,
by the way, I know I'm probably playing with fire here, and I'm going to get myself in trouble. Just for the record. Remember this guy? Regulation reform. In January 2011, President Obama outlined his plan to create a 21st century regulatory system, one that protects public health and welfare while promoting economic growth, innovation, competitiveness, and job creation. Among other things, his executive order on regulation said the following: always consider costs and reduce burdens for American businesses and consumers when developing rules. Expand opportunity for public participation and public comment. Simplify rules. Promote freedom of choice. Ensure that regulations are driven by real science. President also called for an unprecedented government-wide review of regulations already on the books. As a result of that review, more than 24 agencies identified initiatives to reduce burdens and save money. And we released those draft plans to the public and asked for your comments. The final plans reflect feedback we received from industry, small businesses, individuals from around the country, and they will save U.S. businesses billions of dollars in regulatory burdens. Just in case you're, in case you think that.
While I was campaigning with him one day, he said, and I had really learned this sort of on my own, but he said it to me like he was, telling me. Do you know, he said, Mayor?
Yeah. He told you something that's general knowledge as if no one's ever heard it before. Mayor, do you realize Lincoln was a Republican?
I came into this campaign thinking the biggest thing I could do to help the economy is really lower taxes and get more money in the economy. But I think if I could only do one thing, I'd get rid of a lot of these regulations. And I think that alone would We will be back very shortly. How much
That was the
equity do
jump.
you have in your home? 50,000? 100,000?
God damn. He's splotchy. Fucking yikes. Joe Biden is changing our national anthem to the song Regulators now. Yeah. I'm going to jump ahead to this bullshit. There you go. There you go. All right, okay. Back.
Thank you very much for returning.
Oh, yeah. You're very welcome. I'm glad to be here.
Well, that's exactly what he did his first year in office. He got rid of more regulations than probably any president in history.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, obviously not as many as Obama did because he was only getting rid of the ones that Obama hadn't already gotten rid of.
He even had a formula. I've forgotten exactly what it was. It was like,
So did he. Why are you chewing your other knuckle now? The glory hole is right behind you. Just knock twice. Isn't that the rule?
every new
I don't know the general rules. I'm not afraid of them. It's an interesting prospect, but
regulation, you got to get rid of 5 or something. He ended up getting rid of like 50 for every new one.
no, he didn't.
And you can go back and read it if you want. Before he got the tax cuts, the economy revived, and even the more left economists said it's because of the lower regulations. So we just had
By the way, what the fuck does an antitrust executive order have to do with more regulations?
an example. Now, if you lower the regulatory burden, you produce money for the economy, enormous increases in jobs, and maybe Biden should find some way to get to where Trump was, right? Trump produced more jobs for African Americans and Latinos.
But never tightened the distance between those jobs. He's basically riding the same employment curve that Obama left him.
Better wages and lower
No, wages didn't go up until, I guess, end of the year.
unemployment than any president in history, and
And by the way, they're going to be going up quite a bit this year.
they're not there now. So, Joe, if you really want to help black people and minorities and even poor people,
Even poor people.
you should take a page from Trump's book. Lower regulation. But no, you're not going to lower them. I mean, if
Rudy, the fuck are you talking about? Antitrust stuff has nothing to do with regulations on the regular order of business of any company.
Trump took them down
The fuck are you talking about?
to here, we're going back up there, baby. That's where we're going.
That's where we're going, baby. Come on, baby. That's where we're going, baby. Come on, baby.
I mean, I look at this. I see hundreds of thousands of regulations coming out of these agencies. You tell them the right regulations, and they'll stay up all night writing regulations, and they'll control business.
What part of what you just read means that? I don't know. God
So
damn.
basically,
You're an idiot.
I would say and pronounce the following.
Okay, good. All right, let's get to it.
Joe Biden really isn't commander-in-chief.
Okay, all right. Well, then somebody else is obviously the regulator-in-chief.
Nobody believes he actually makes decisions.
I do. Yeah, I mean, there's besides all the reporting that he's a little short-tempered with people that can't carry shit out, and that he's putting people in charge to carry out his vision of what he's doing, and that he's on the phone directly with senators, and that's why this two-track infrastructure thing is happening for the first time in American history, is because he's literally, as an old dog from the Senate, he knows how to make that happen. Never mind.
If you watch him, he can't finish a sentence.
He finished a lot of sentences. He finishes all of his sentences. And they don't end with hoo-hoo, and I think, baby.
And make sense. And when he turns around to go out, he often turns around the wrong way.
What? When does that ever happen?
That's just the beginning of it.
Dude, you have to actually have that be a regular thing that everybody else is up on. You can't just make that up out of... Yes, you can.
You and I know there's something wrong with him. And if you
No, I don't. Yes, I know there's something wrong with him if you consider a stutter something wrong with something.
don't know it, watch carefully.
I've been watching carefully. Here's the thing. I know he has a stutter, so I factor that into when he's speaking. When I look at you, I know you don't have a stutter, so I don't know what the fuck is the matter with you.
And just be honest with yourself, because it's about your country.
Yeah.
So if he's not the commander-in-chief...
If he's not the commander-in-chief. And by the way, socialism, stay on point.
Maybe they're going to make him the CEO-in-chief. Like he can be in charge of all American business because it sure looks that way. Then any
Does it? Or do we have a reading comprehension problem, Rudy?
event, he's not CEO material, but he wants to be CEO for the entire American economy. So what he does is he makes it into a socialist economy. That's his
Okay, all right.
goal.
Back to socialist economy.
This group of massive executive orders, and I've only gotten a chance to look at it quickly, applies to over a dozen.
Wait a minute. You're telling me you haven't actually read them and you just breezed over them? Because I think we all felt that you really had dug in, spent all night studying them, talked to some economists and other people, asked them, went back and forth, and then you kind of, you just glanced at them and common sense tells you, I'm going to hate this.
For a dozen agencies, he's got right away, within the next couple of weeks, 72 separate actions they are ordered to take, which would either bring back regulations that Trump got rid of that.
Speaking of tourists, I learned today a classic prank played in Barcelona. They take small, very spicy peppers and hide them inside kiwi fruits, and they get tourists to eat them. It works every time because everyone expects the Spanish and kiwis.
Increase the economy or add on all new left-oriented regulations.
Yes, left-oriented regulations. Basically everybody who works at Dunkin' Donuts has to wear a red star now and face the sun whenever they hand someone a donut on a tray like this, like they're in a Mao communist painting.
To preserve things and stop things and make.
Yeah, that's very lefty. Preserving things and stopping things. I mean, that sounds like a bunch of commie shit to me.
Sure that make sure we don't affect the temperature and.
Oh, it'd be climate change.
Well, let's give a couple of examples.
Yeah, give us a couple of examples because you lost me there for a second. Bring it back home, Rudy.
There are very few industries left out. Healthcare he does a real job on.
Well, sure. There's a lot of climate change in pharmaceuticals.
Along with the fact that we know through Obamacare they want socialized medicine.
No, actually, they want democratic taxation and a basic standard of medical care for people. It's not socialized medicine. I mean, if they did, then clearly, why is the public option the thing that Biden wants? Never mind.
Where forget your medical plan or forget your doctor. We know that. We know they're headed that way. I mean, this is a Bernie economic plan. They want to reduce prescription drug prices.
Yeah, what kind of commie bullshit is that?
Well, there are a lot of ways to do that, and Trump.
Well, sure, yeah.
Had a lot of ways to. They throw those all aside. All of those would be free market ideas. Oh, gosh, free market. That's only the thing that made us the richest country on earth. Let's get rid of that. Let's do it.
What would be what are they proposing? Are armed soldiers of the People's Movement going to storm pharmaceutical companies' factory floors and take them over?
Poor countries do. Let's have price controls. Let's let them buy drugs from.
You mean like favored nations?
From Canada.
Right. That's part of this.
Now, I just put a little warning there. You know the Canadians don't inspect the drugs they sell to us? That's our job.
Yeah. And?
The drugs they keep are the drugs that they inspect.
Right.
And that...
I'm sorry. Are we going to buy drugs from any country and not inspect them?
Meet FDA...
Useless regulations. What, Rudy, why do you want to add regulations?
Standards. The drugs that they sell to us are basically the ones from India that they don't want to sell in Canada. I've inspected them. I know what I'm talking about. That's what they do. That's how they make money. So good, try it. Use the Canadian drugs. We're all worried about what's going to happen with a vaccine that hasn't gone through all the tests necessary.
First of all, look at his face. Enjoy that for a moment. I win the freeze game again. I'm going to try and not jam up my stuff too much. I seem to really eat up a lot of bandwidth when I call up this kind of stuff. But let's see. Trump buy drugs from Canada. Let's just let's see. See if we can do this in here. Ding ding. Let's see if he.
President Trump announced a plan Wednesday that would allow Americans to access cheaper prescription drugs from Canada.
They're looking at, the re-importation, kind of buying wholesale from Canada.
With more Americans potentially getting their prescription...
Hold on. No, just bringing that up just as a news story from last year. Let's see. Is there Trump's...
Very dramatic action to reduce the price of prescription drugs for American patients and American seniors. Previous administrations did nothing, absolutely nothing, as drug lobbyists, special interests in foreign countries fairly ripped off our citizens.
Fairly ripped us off.
Under the last administration alone, drug prices rose a staggering 55%. Thanks to my administration's aggressive action since taking office, we have successfully lowered drug prices for the first time in 51 years.
No, the negotiations the Obama administration did led to those things because they were enacted when he was president.
But this reduction is still not close to what I want, what I expect, and I'm looking for help for our great seniors, especially in particular, and that's what we're doing today. You'll hear something which will be very shocking. So we're doing things that nobody thought could be done. It's going to have an incredible impact. Unfortunately,
none of this happened.
We've been waiting for Congress to take action for many decades to reduce drug prices for more than just a small handful of people. But even the small handful of people never got price reductions. And I'm unwilling to wait any longer. Therefore, today I'm signing 4 sweeping executive orders that will lead to massive reduction in drug costs. Massive.
It didn't actually work out that way, but, who cares? All right. Oh, God, back to his face.
Well, you're going to be getting medicines that don't go through any tests.
Yeah, we're just going to start, shoveling pills from India down everybody's gullet.
Because Canada says, you want to buy our medicine, we're not going to spend the money to do the tests for you. Yeah, we're not going to go around figuring out exactly what. It costs too much money. We just want to make money on you. They want, this sounds so nice, right? They want transparency for hospital billing. Well, that means the federal bureaucrats will lay down a procedure for hospital billing that is so complicated that all hospitals will have to hire some guy or woman with 3 PhDs to do it and have a staff of about 100. There's how your hospital bill goes up. The useless, wasted bureaucrats filling out useless, wasted forms that are supposed to be transparent, but they're so detailed, you can't follow them.
Like a menu. Rudy has a real problem with menus.
See, the thing is, these things...
Imagine all the bureaucracy that goes into a restaurant's menu. You should eat and then find out what your meal costs. As a matter of fact, you should wake up in a restaurant having been fed the meal and then be told.
Sound nice in a soundbite. And if you know anything about a bureaucracy, they become just the opposite. This is why it's 1984. Transparency for hospital bills means you will never be able to understand the hospital bill.
That's great. Okay, cool. Good to know.
Because the federal government will require such detail, no one will understand it.
Can you understand the details of an actual number?
And it will cost more money to be in the hospital. This is a real joke. HHS is going to have a whole place where they're going to look for insurance for you. They're going to look for insurance for 320 million Americans. How ridiculous is that? You realize what a bureaucratic endeavor that is? You're going to have to hire about 10,000 people to do that. And they're going to...
by the way, we went through this executive order. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. Because he can't grasp it. All right.
They're going to do something with hearing aids.
You mean allow you to buy them in the pharmacy instead of getting, having readers?
They don't know what they're going to do, but they're going to do something with hearing aids.
They do know what they're going to do. They're going to set up a plan to make it so that you can buy them over the counter at Walgreens and CVS and the like, which will bring the price down from thousands of dollars to hundreds of dollars.
They're going to let them be sold over the counter.
Right. So I thought you said they didn't know what they were going to do.
Well, that doesn't necessarily mean they'll be cheaper if they're sold over the counter. But in
Yes, it is, because it removes a layer of bureaucracy.
any event, that's a few of the things they want to do to healthcare.
I thought they're not taking over the production of hearing aids and providing them free of charge to people who need them on the backs of taxpayers. This would be the bullet train to socialism idea.
The end result is hospitals will become more expensive. We will have fewer doctors because they're leaving like crazy because of all of the paperwork they have to fill out. This will triple the amount of paperwork they have to fill out.
They don't have to fill out any of that shit. What hospital is like, hey, Jerry, what do you feel like charging for, what's today's special going to be for a heart attack? You gotta, right.
This is everything that was wrong with an economy that couldn't grow under Obama, and he's put it back, but he's multiplied it by 4. Then it isn't just hospitals and...
Yeah, put that aside. I mean, I don't understand what I'm reading, but give me a second.
Doctors and medicine. Now we go to broadband, right?
Yeah, just jump over to broadband. You can buy broadband over the counter, apparently, right? In pharmacies.
He's upset that people are paying too much for broadband. So he's going to limit the regulations that limit the choices of broadband.
He's going to limit the regulations that limit.
What, is he going to go into apartment buildings that have broadband and say, well, you have to provide competition and 4 services rather than just one?
No, you don't go door to door, asshole. You just open up the market so that you can't have a monopoly in districts.
And will that necessarily be cheaper? Or does the co-op or the condo or the apartment building or owner, negotiate the lowest possible and best deal? We don't know. These are reasons why you don't regulate up here. You work on it down here, and when you regulate up here, it becomes a dictatorial state.
What, you're dictating choice? What is he talking about?
They're going to restore net neutrality.
Yeah, how we got a 2-for-1 on aneurysms. You have to make an appointment soon.
How much money it saved when Trump fixed that? We're just going to go back. And notice every single one of these grows the size of the centralized federal government.
No, it doesn't. How? How?
More government workers, more government bureaucrats, hundreds, thousands. Just like Moscow.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it is just like Moscow. all the broadband choice Putin insisted on.
It used to be.
Just like Moscow used to be.
And just like Beijing is today.
We have to wait in line for one roll of broadband.
See if we can have more bureaucrats than they have. Apparatchiks, I think they call them. Oh, so then big tech. Well, big tech, we got a couple of little things there. We're not going to do anything about the censorship because that's working out real well for the Democrats. But we're going to establish rules on surveillance gathering. I imagine they will reinforce the rules they have now, which is you can surveil Republicans but not Democrats.
Yeah, that's what the rule is currently. That's in the terms of service.
And if you do surveil Democrats, you don't disclose it. If you surveil Republicans, you violate the law and disclose it.
I don't know what he's talking about.
Because I haven't seen it ever happen the other way around. Let's take a brief interruption.
Yeah, let's take a brief interruption. What is it? He's going to cut to gold, and I did a lot this year, and here we go.
Labor, they want to ban non-competition clauses. I don't know, did they ever figure out that might be unconstitutional? It interferes with the right of contract. Well, we don't have rights. I'm sorry. We're going to becoming a socialist country. Of course they didn't think about that. It interferes with a private right.
Oh, you mean like Twitter? If Twitter decides they don't want Trump on, that's interfering with their private right? You mean like that, Rudy?
Those private rights just get in the way of the Democrat Party running everything. How about transportation?
Yeah, how about transportation?
These are nice little things. They're going to work out that your fees get refunded on some kind of a formula basis if your baggage is delayed. So they're going to go in and regulate baggage for all the airlines in America. That could cost us another 20,000 federal bureaucrats.
Why? What the fuck are you talking about? They keep track of it. Why do you need 20,000? What, do you have to have a soldier at every ticket counter at Spirit Airlines? The fuck?
Figuring out just exactly how much I should get back for 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, 7 hours of delay.
No, you just don't. You get, if your bags don't land with you, you get your baggage fee back. And they still have to get you your fucking bag. You're paying so your bag arrives when you arrive. If they can't do that, they got to refund the money and still give you your bag. It's like 8 bags per flight maximum this ever happens to.
Now, here's the best one of all.
This is the best one.
This is a Joe Biden special.
All right, here it is. A Joe Biden special. Even though he doesn't run anything and can't finish a sentence, this is a Joe Biden special.
Let me see if I got this right, because I'm not
I'm going to doubt it.
an expert on railroads.
You're not an expert on anything, Rudy.
Require freight railroad track owners to provide rights and to defer to passenger rail. Why would you defer to passenger rail? Just like as a general rule. I mean, there are times when the passenger train maybe is more important than the freight train, but maybe sometimes there are times in which the...
Okay, hold on. Because at this point, okay, Biden executive order competition. Okay, this is the actual thing that he's talking about. I'm gonna, let's see. So you go White House Competition Council, further agency responsibilities. I mean, there's a lot in here. So, net neutrality rules, for development adoption 5G radio access. Okay, so this is under transportation. Let's see. Enhance temporary consumer safeguard, consumer access, ensuring consumers better than no later 45 days in order to email offenders. Ladies and gentlemen, to improve kind of thing. Consult with the Attorney General means the department gain access. Consider measures as part of facilitating innovation, foster direct United market leadership. Consider commencing or continuing a rulemaking to strengthen regulations pertaining to reciprocal switching agreements pursuant to the, if the chair determines the rulemaking. Okay, hold on, wait. To further competition in the rail industry and to provide accessible remedies for shippers, the chair of the Surface Transportation Board is encouraged to work with the rest of the board to consider commencing or continuing a rulemaking to strengthen regulations pertaining to reciprocal switching agreements pursuant to 49 U.S.C. 11102. If the chair determines such rulemaking would be in public interest, consider rulemakings pertaining to any other relevant matter of competitive access, including bottlenecking rates, interchange commitments, other consistent with policy set forth, to ensure that passenger rail service is not subject to unwarranted delays and interruption in service due to host railroads' failure to comply with required preference already exists. So basically making sure they follow the rules that are already there. That's what he's talking about. This is the fucking part. To ensure that passenger rail service is not subject to unwarranted delays and interruptions in service due to host railroads' failure to comply with the required preference for passenger rail, vigorously enforce new on-time performance requirements adopted pursuant to the Passenger Rail Investment and Improvement Act of 2008, Public Law 110-423, Stat 4907, which will take effect on July 1st, 2021, and further the work of the Passenger Rail Working Group formed to ensure the Surface Transportation Board will fully meet its obligations, and in the process of determining whether a merger, acquisition, or transaction involving rail carriers is consistent with the public interest under 49 U.S.C. 11323-25, consider a carrier's fulfillment of its responsibilities under 49 U.S.C. 24308, relating to Amtrak's statutory rights. The chair of the Federal Maritime Commission is encouraged to... Okay, so making sure that people are actually following the law that already exists and not fucking passenger trains out of the the preference that they get because the tracks were originally laid for passenger trains to help the country. This is before we had interstate highways, and this was the primary way people got across the country. It was transportation of goods was a minor part of it. Mostly it was people, and over time we shifted a lot of that over to transporting goods because we have airplanes and that kind of shit. But right now they still have to, because that's who built the goddamn railroads and what we built it for, give preference to passenger trains, and a lot of times they don't, and this is to make sure they do.
The freight train is more important than the passenger train because those goods have to get there sometime within the next, ionosphere.
Ionosphere?
If you want to make rail transportation really efficient. You do it because you're Joe Biden, and this is the only one he probably knows about, because this is like will help Amtrak, which his son was on the board of. He might have known
He's not right now.
more about that than he knew about Ukraine
and Burisma.
and oil and gas. And
Hey, Rudy, hold up the Hunter Biden laptop. Hold it up. Why? How come there's a new little statue behind you of Winston Churchill's ghost, but you don't have Hunter Biden's laptop anywhere to be seen? Where is it?
maybe he knew more about that than he does about painting, but I don't think he knew a lot about it. Agriculture. He's going to regulate agriculture.
Oh my God! When did we start regulating agriculture? How's he going to regulate agriculture? Tell us, Rudy Giuliani, how he's going to regulate agriculture.
He's going to have stricter rules for made in USA.
Right. He's not going to give a pass on people saying stuff is made in the USA like Trump did.
Oh, now he's a guy who's America first. I don't know, he spent all that time with the Europeans putting America last. We're not even going to collect what they owe us. He says
What do they owe us?
we're a country that's systemically racist. Maybe he's going to have to.
No, we're a country that deals with our systemic racism when it exists. That we're not in essence racist. We deal with that's kind of what makes America first. It's why it's great. It's because we can actually deal with our shit instead of other countries that don't even care.
Have to put in made in USA. You can put it in small writing. A systemically racist country, quote, Joe Biden numerous times. By the way, Biden, stop attacking my country.
He's not. He's actually making sure that people who make stuff in America get credit for it, and that the federal government buys American goods and doesn't use outs that Trump allowed them to use to buy foreign goods because they're cheaper.
Stop calling it an evil country.
I don't think he's ever called it evil.
I don't think it's a joke.
Yeah, thanks for the stars, you guys. I appreciate that on Facebook. Bless you.
I know you're not all there, but you're there enough to know you shouldn't be doing that. It's disgraceful.
Oh, it's terrible. If only he had done it.
You say that. I think you'd get people killed saying that.
What? Are you threatening people, Rudy?
But let me get back to where we were. He's going to limit restrictions on equipment repair that can only be done by the manufacturer.
Yeah, Rudy. You mean the right to repair?
Well, how does he know whether it needs to be done by the manufacturer or not? Shouldn't
Let's put aside the blind Delaware repair shop owner storyline entirely and just watch watch Rudy's flail about this through that lens.
Shouldn't that be left to private litigation where you can look at the facts and the details and not some general rule? I mean, this is like we've taken our almost entire economy and he's now micromanaging it. These are things that get worked out in lawsuits because sometimes they're right. Sometimes the manufacturer is being abusive and saying, I have to fix it. And sometimes the manufacturer has a very unique product.
Okay. May I? Let's see. Department of Defense versus no later than 90 days. Secretary of Treasury. Okay, this is going to be up higher. Medicare, Medicaid, modernization plan, prescription drugs. Let's see, competitive rail service. Let's back up on this. These aren't in order, so. Consumer protection stuff. Broadband, there it is. Beer and wine. For farmers. I'm scrolling through this, beg your pardon for one moment. Drug ranking system reinforce long-standing clear rules identifying your current problem, address unfair treatment of farmers. Okay. Unfair data collection system. Yeah, here it is. Whoops. Bring it over here. Let's see. To address persistent and recurring practices that inhibit competition, chair of the FTC, the chair's discretion is also encouraged to consider working appropriate unfair. Yeah, here it is. To address agreements and duly limit workers' ability to change job, that's the on third-party repair or self-repair of items, manufacturers to prevent farmers from repairing their own equipment. By the way, New York has a shit ton of like fix your eye broken after it does that. These are rules about this, like so you don't have to send it to them and get a screen fixed. But this is a big part of this. This is for farmers. This is why he's doing this. Jesus.
And sometimes he wants his product to be so good and to have so few problems because he wants to have.
Does he?
Have the best.
He does, doesn't he?
Best product, the premier product. He doesn't want somebody else fooling around with it. That's a legitimate, sensible business reason.
Well, that'll get worked out in the courts then.
That would never occur to essentially a socialist, communist planner. And this is why they failed and we succeeded. You're getting into the weeds of it right now. You're getting into the weeds of how a country becomes a failure.
Uh-huh.
And he wants easier transfer of data. In other words, if you're going from bank to bank, they shouldn't charge you. And I mean, who knows if that's right, wrong, or...
Yeah, who cares? I mean, if Biden said it, let's just assume it's wrong.
We got China that right now wants to surpass us by 2049. They're making strides, so they're going to do it a lot faster.
No, they're not.
Right now, the first 4 or 5 steps in the confrontation, he loses every one. And he's worried about transfer of data. I mean...
Rudy, could you stop shit-talking my country, by the way?
Let the states work that out. Oh, we don't have...
As an American, I'm offended that you're shit-talking our country.
By the way, another thing, we're not going to have states after a while. So
okay, so he's, is that, which one? Is that number 71?
Let's just take a little look at this.
Let's.
He probably don't even have all of them. He's micromanaging and suggesting regulations in detail, picking on regulations to break up concentration where there's no proof that there is concentration except for big tech. He's doing it for agriculture, finance, banking, which is related, doctors, hospitals, healthcare in general, shipping, rail transportation, regular technology, and let's call it internet technology.
Let's just call it that.
Broadband, labor.
Yeah, I agree, Hazareth. Why is it okay for Republicans to shit on America? They do it all the time. I mean, Newsmax and OAN, they're just so convinced that China's going to kick our ass and we have no shot, and America without without Trump is fucking worthless. It's insulting. It's genuinely insulting to every American that without some sort of like sycophantic fart-sniffing ruling class that, gives a rusty trombone to a failed billionaire, we'll never make it. And America really never made it before.
Practices. He's got areas where he sets wages and areas where he sets prices.
There's no price setting or wage setting in this.
And
it just doesn't exist. I don't know what the fuck that is.
I'm sure I missed a lot. That pretty much, if this is the economy, that's about that much of it, right? So he's running the economy.
Yeah, sure. Okay, let's just assume. Yeah.
This is the Joe Biden plan for the economy. Only thing he hasn't done that would make it like a pure repeat of Stalin and Lenin.
And Ringo.
Well, Stalin really, and Mao, and Z is if he gave it, they love to put years on it. You know, their 5-year plan, their 10-year plan, their 20-year plan, whatever.
Yeah, he left out Tony Robbins. He's a big fan of 5-year plans too.
So we don't know what this is. Hopefully, this is no more than a 3.5-year plan. So
yeah, hopefully he'll get it done in 3.5 years. I agree.
So this is all premised on concentration. There's all this concentration. Bad concentration. And Joe doesn't know that. I mean, I know Joe. I know Joe for 1981. I'm going to make sure I get it right because he gets numbers wrong all the time. 91, 101, 30.
Yeah, 101, 91, 101.
1 years, 30 years. I know Joe for 30 years. Well, he's got a lawyer working for him on this. The guy's name is Tim Wu, and he's some kind of lawyer and antitrust expert. But he's also what's called a progressive lawyer. I don't exactly know what a progressive lawyer is, but I'm a really, really good lawyer, although apparently the
No, you suck.
New York people and the DC people don't think I am.
Well, you mean Trump? The Trump family organization, the Trump campaign, and Trump himself? Because he thinks you suck.
I'm a really, really good lawyer. Accomplished more than most lawyers have accomplished. And I love being a lawyer, and I got pretty good powers of legal analysis. And I don't know if Tim Wu has ever kind of modernized his knowledge of antitrust law. There used to be a time in antitrust law where bigness was badness.
Okay. Oh, like big tech is bad. Right. Gotcha.
Just because a company
Like big media is bad. I get it.
was
Okay.
big,
Yeah.
or just because a company even monopolized, it
Yeah, just because it was a monopoly.
must be bad for the country, bad for the economy, bad for the consumer, and we got to break it up. A long time ago, the Supreme Court applied some wisdom to that. And the wisdom is this: sometimes big is bad, sometimes big is good.
Yeah, that's why all these regulations are pursuant to existing law that's been through the Supreme Court.
It's not always bad. And if the purpose of the antitrust laws is to preserve and protect competition, it can be counterproductive to go after a big company as a monopoly if it is helping the consumer, helping competition. This would be a good time for a short break.
Jesus, how many ads does this asshole have in this stuff? Oh, it's a My Pillow thing. That's hilarious. It's a quickie. That one didn't last long.
That's mypillow.com, promo code Rudy. And now we'll get to the finale.
Great.
So they established what was known as, and even lawyers that are not experts on antitrust law know this. It's a very famous legal doctrine. It's called rule of reason.
Mm-hmm.
What that means is you're not stupid, and you say they're big, bad, break up. No, you say they're big. Let's take a look at the industry, and let's say, oh my goodness, Walmart really does lower prices for the consumer.
And is responsible for half of our trade deficit with China almost by itself.
It puts pressure on others to compete.
$250 billion.
To get prices lower. Maybe on the whole, that's good for the average American.
How is it on the glory hole, though?
On the other hand, let's look at these telephone companies that, the Carter and Reagan administrations both did. Maybe even gone back to the Ford-Nixon administrations. I think it did. And look at what they're doing with the prices and how they're setting things off with each other. And because of their control and you have no choices, they broke it up. And look what we have available now.
Kind of like the broadband situation.
And we're going through another phase now where, people who are worried about cable, you've got all these other abilities to get cable at a much lower rate. And the competition gives you so many more options. And if you know what you're doing, you save money. So maybe one was a bad area to apply the law of break it up. You were just going to hurt people, including consumers. And whenever you break it up, you always hurt people. They lose jobs. And the other was a good one. So, maybe he could at least, if he doesn't trust me, this guy Wu, who apparently must have gone to law school, a long time ago, before the rule of reason.
Yeah, I think he's 114 years old.
Which makes him a retrogressive, really, rather than a progressive. I mean, progressives would know the rule of reason. So maybe he should read some of Stephen Breyer's opinions in the Supreme Court. I think he would trust Breyer's, although they seem to want to get rid of Breyer's, right? But he was Kennedy's chief of staff. He's a great justice. I mean, I don't agree with him, but I think he's a great justice.
They want to get rid of him because they want him to retire so they can guarantee to replace him with somebody younger. It's a strategy. Yeah.
Maybe he could read him and Breyer's could explain to him the rule of reason. Maybe if he reads him, he'll say, gee, boss, I made a big mistake. Let's get rid of all this. Think that'll happen? So we're going to do this, all this, control of business in the name of breaking up competition, all competition, without any analysis of whether the competition is enormously helpful to the consumer.
There's 120-day review periods on these things to bring back a plan. And what is he talking about?
And saving us tremendous amounts of money and giving us things we otherwise wouldn't have. Or concentration is really...
Karine, we don't know what it looks like Churchill in a white suit, like the ghost of Churchill.
It's really raping people, destroying businesses.
Jesus Christ. What? Dude, they're talking about giving deference to passenger trains on tracks that were built by passenger train companies between raping people? Fucking hell.
And making things much more expensive. Both can happen. A long time ago, we figured out that we shouldn't be Neanderthals and just apply it one way. Wu is a Neanderthal. He's back there. Don't give him the word progressive, you phony press sycophants. Huh? That's not progressive. This is a major restructuring of government. I'm going to miss ways in which they are destroying our form of government. First of all, this completely eliminates the law and practice with regard to independent agencies. They're telling the FTC, the FDA, every one of the alphabet agencies what to do.
The administration gives guidance on all of these. The fuck are you talking about?
Supposed to be bipartisan and independent.
Next thing you know, they're going to have cabinet secretaries.
They're even given time periods when they have to do it. So he has now become the chief executive of all the independent agencies, who have just become not independent anymore, even though Congress says they are, and the courts have defined them as such. So screw that. I got those independent.
Yeah, Biden's not running anything, but he's running everything.
Independent agencies. This is what you do. You lower the drug prices. You let drugs in from Canada. Just get it done. This is an all-encompassing plan by the president for a private economy to break up the across-the-board damage being done by concentration when there is no across-the-board damage being done by concentration. So what is it? It's a pretext. It's a pretext.
Well, sure it is. Yeah. This is the big... There's been a wind-up. Fucking hell. Get to it, Rudy. Like, your little sarcastic asides are fucking tiring.
And it's a pretext.
What? You just going to skip that page entirely?
In order to assert control over business.
Okay, sure.
In order to move us...
He's just blowing past this shit. Like, there's...
Toward, if we aren't there yet, government control of the private economy.
Yeah, we're probably already there.
Because this is controlling some large percentage.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously...
of the private economy. Now, what do we call government control of the private economy? For those of you who went to school, call it socialism.
Uh-huh.
We call what...
Well, technically, no. Government control of the economy, not the private economy, because there wouldn't be a private economy because it would be socialism.
What we have a free market economy.
No, we do not. We have a capitalist economy. We don't have a free market economy.
We have a republic. We call it a democracy in part, right?
In part, until you decide you don't like who got elected.
We call it a limited government with checks and balances. And we say that our unique success as a nation comes from those things that other countries didn't do. So what does Saul saw there? There's the president running the private sector.
Yeah. Premise number one.
There's the president running the independent agencies illegally, I believe. A lot of these things would be knocked out in the court.
Well, I don't know what you're worried about. And besides, apparently Biden can't run anything, but is running everything.
There's the president acting like the Congress. A lot of these things need laws. There were no.
They do have laws. They direct them. There's so many laws. As a matter of fact, you have to focus on what you want their primary goals to be.
Recommendations for laws here, like a lot of the other executive orders he's already done. Because he's Joe, we don't examine him, Biden. He's been doing more executive orders than any president in history.
No, actually. He's only because Trump did, and he's undone a bunch of them. So he's doing his normal ones, plus getting rid of all of Trump's. By the way, was that dude's presidency easy to erase? Seems like 100 years ago.
There is no Congress. Some of them have already been declared unconstitutional by the courts. I guarantee you, I haven't had the time to look at this.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what's in here, but I guarantee you it's bad.
But when you combine his complete trashing of the independent agency laws and his complete trashing of the separation of powers, half of this has got to be straight out unconstitutional.
Yeah. I mean, the half you probably didn't read, but so.
And then what he's done is he's aggregated everything to the executive branch and everything to the federal government. He's destroyed the check and balance of federal state. The Supreme Court long ago said, that's not about the states.
What?
It's not about state government. It's a protection for your rights that these governments have to compete with each other.
Well, huh?
You understand what I'm saying?
No.
What the framers did, this isn't to make states important.
No, it's not.
It's to make you safe.
Oh, thank God. Go ahead.
This is the exact opposite
of what?
Of why we became a free country.
Exact opposite of why we became a free country. Monarchy?
We became a free country because
religious fanatics like the Quakers wanted to be able to act weird, and the Church of England drove them out.
We're burdened by the dictatorship from the centralized government of England on
the monarchy.
On us. Around 7.
We were British colonies who didn't want to be anymore.
1860 maybe.
Yeah, something around there. Just why not?
The political theory in London changed. They pretty much left us alone to be like a federation and make our own decisions. We even had...
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know why we fought the Revolutionary War.
Gotten together our little kind of Congress and made our own laws, and we had all these independent states, or whatever you wanted to call them.
Colonies?
They made their own rules, and then about 1760, we'll get the exact date.
Yeah, look it up.
A different political theory came about in London, probably as dumb as the one that Biden has now, which is we gotta exercise micromanagement of these colonies.
You mean monarchy?
So they began telling us they began centralizing all the power in London.
They always did. It was a monarchy, fuckhead.
And taking it away from the colonies, taxing us from there, telling us what we could do and not do.
They always did.
Telling us we couldn't restrict slavery.
What? Telling us we couldn't restrict slavery? England outlawed slavery before we did.
Telling us we couldn't restrict slavery in the new colonies.
What?
Several battles with Thomas Jefferson over that. It's in the first draft of the Declaration of Independence, if you bigoted racists ever read it. If you can read it. Jefferson was fighting for the ability to stop the spread of slavery.
Yeah, so are the British.
Against the king.
No.
Who refused to let him do it. And others, not just Jefferson.
Not just Jefferson, of course.
Big movement in New England for that. That's one of the reasons. I'm not saying it's the main reason for the revolution, but it's one of the reasons for the revolution. And none of the reasons for the revolution is because we wanted to continue slavery. That is a bold-faced lie.
What?
only made up by people who hate us and hate our country. Just go read. Don't let these people brainwash you. There was
honest to fucking God.
discomfort from slavery in America from the beginning, and Jefferson was extremely discomforted from it. Tried to abolish it, failed. Tried to limit it, failed.
Yeah, I know. Couldn't release his slaves because he was afraid they would be snatched up by people who would be worse to them. Couldn't stop it. I understand that. But the British were starting to be against it too. Some of the Quakers themselves were anti-slavery, and it's one of the reasons they separated from the monarchy. What's the fucking point? It wasn't communism, and arguably slavery is the worst kind of capitalism.
And
now, granted, there's a slavery inherent to socialism and communism, but it's not the trading of other people.
warned us
Unless, I guess, you catch them, or it's the area, or some shit.
that we were going to pay a heavy price for it. That he didn't have the moral courage, the additional moral courage to destroy his political career. For that, he should be blamed. But every president of the United States probably had some equal compromise that had to be made.
Yeah, that's right. That's why we should leave Joe Biden alone. What the fuck is he talking about?
And very few presidents of the United States wrote words that inspired freedom for millions and millions of people, not just
Fucking hell,
Americans. All men are created equal resounded as a clarion call for freedom. And when
Why are we on a bullet train to socialism? Back the fuck up.
he put his name on that document, he put his life on that document.
I'd look good in a mustache? What are you talking about? I look terrible with a mustache. It's terrible. I've got... Sorry, this is not going to stick to my face. Absolute 9-0 against slavery. That's what we had.
So I get real angry
Yes, we know. And real confused.
when these ignorant communists and agitators and hate America people attack our founding fathers. I don't think they're perfect, but I think they're better than anybody else's founding fathers.
Yeah, of all the countries that have founding fathers.
Now, when you can combine what Biden is doing,
Yeah, I mean, it's basically like reinstituting what Jefferson was fighting against.
with our economy, with what his whole movement is doing, with our history, destroying it, our flag, the 1619 New York Times program that we were founded in racism, they don't condemn that. Their ally, the teachers union, wants to teach it in all schools. That's a Democrat Party organization. They want to teach critical lives matter.
Yes, critical lives matter. It's very
They
important.
want to teach
Black racism theory.
1619. They want to work closely. I'm telling you, Randy Weingarten said this. They want to
Jesus, where did this go?
work closely with Black Lives Matter. Randy, I know you. I work with you. Black Lives Matter wants to kill police officers.
Jesus Christ. We're at 43 minutes of this. There's 10 minutes
What
left.
do you think it means when they say pigs in a blanket, fry 'em like bacon?
Well, I think it's a group that was marching that said that wasn't actually a BLM group, is what I think. What do you think it means when the president says there are good people on both sides of an argument, and the people he's talking about were literally chanting, "Jews will not replace us"?
And everybody cheers.
No, everybody didn't cheer.
What do you think that means, Randy?
Yeah, Randy.
It means kill fellow municipal workers
Yeah, so the sanitation workers are fucked.
who are in uniform and are called police officers. That's what it means. And not coincidentally,
I can't be the only person who feels like he's spitting when he talks, right?
it happens. What is wrong with you?
Yeah, Rudy, whatever your name is, Randy.
How far left have you gone?
Yeah, Randy.
Does that remove logic and conscience?
Well, sure, it would have to for a guy like Randy.
Black Lives Matter? Help
Yes.
you with the classroom? With our children? Patrice Kalors? Dedicated Marxist? The two others are communists?
Well, she's a dedicated Marxist that bought $3 million worth of houses. So I don't know where she was trained as a Marxist, but obviously it was, it obviously had a good real estate
They
program.
want to take our
She's a licensed Marxist real estate agent.
children away at 2 years old and re-educate them? They want to give them hormones at 8 and 9?
What the fuck? Get back to where you were.
Now, what's he doing with spending?
What is he doing with spending?
I mean, the spending is completely, you can't even count it anymore. 2
Yeah, you can't count. Counting has been outlawed. It's commies.
trillion here, 3 million, 7 million, 5 trillion here. Here's what it's doing right now. Right
What's it doing right now?
now, the best we can do is it's creating a 33% increase in our debt. We never did a 33% increase in our debt, maybe during the war. I think once since the war. 33% increase in our debt.
Isn't that a 33% increase in our debt? What are you going back to the $30 trillion that Medicare for All was supposedly
Just
cost?
pass it on to your kids. Destroy our economy. Because if we destroy our economy, we'll want to be socialist. And that means the tax rates are going to go up to, well over 50%.
All right.
You become the junior partner in your wages. The government is the senior partner. We call that, by the way, just to show you we're moving toward communism. I think Karl Marx had a word for it. I wish I knew it in German. It's called redistribution of wealth. It's all over the Communist Manifesto. Like to read it? So is the breakup of the nuclear family, by the way. That's where
Why would you give people a child tax credit if you're trying to break up the...
Black Lives Matter got that. And the destruction of history and whatever. So
Yeah, whatever.
Lenin destroyed the history of Russia, took down all their statues, explained how everybody before them was horrible, terrible, awful. Mao did it twice. He did it originally in 48, 49 when he came in, and the Cultural Revolution. How many people did they kill during the
They didn't directly kill them, but 43 million people died.
Cultural Revolution? Chinese are not allowed to recognize that 5,000-year beautiful culture they have.
Yes, they are.
You know that?
No, I've been there. Yeah, you can talk about Chinese history. Yeah, there's nobody... You don't get jailed for talking about the Qing dynasty.
They'll be killed if they do.
No, they won't. I've been to historic sites. What the fuck are you talking about?
Because it's got to go to the Communist Party. Got to go to Mao. You know, that's why they had Mao swim in the Yangtze River,
Yeah, that's why.
pretend that he could do it. And that's how they had, Putin on the horse. Putin does all kinds of crazy stuff. And in Biden's case, I mean, they actually pretend that he knows what he's saying. So that's what they do with him. They can't get much out of him. They can't get him to swim or do stuff like that. But pretty good how, given what is going on with him, they get him to walk out and actually complete about 2
He can ride a fucking bicycle, which Trump can't do, I think,
minutes
for the
and
record.
do press conferences where he's given the questions, the answers, and the reporters to call, and he'll get in trouble if he doesn't. They got him you notice how often he says, I'll get in trouble if I don't, I'll get in trouble.
Because he's got to be someplace else, and his staff gets... He cares about his staff, so he doesn't want to upset them. I'm going to get in trouble if I hang out here all the time. Well, we're going to be late for this other thing.
Trouble if I don't. You kind of notice that a lot in nursing homes.
Do you? I don't know. I don't hang out in nursing homes.
This is a terrible, terrible, very dangerous situation.
The very terrible, dangerous situation.
Please don't underestimate it. And very few people will tell you that because it gets censored from the media. The minute
Sure.
this hit, every American journalist who has a brain and has gone to college and has read history should tell you this is a repeat of the communist 5-year plans, 10-year plans.
Or any business that has a 5-year or 10-year plan.
Just like the Black Lives Matter and critical race theory and 1619 program destruction of our history comes right from the Mao playbook, right from Marx. Destroy the history, get them to hate the country.
Yeah, but what the fuck does that have to do with, like, getting a refund on your bags when you land and they don't show up?
It's so clear.
Yeah, remember Mao's whole big thing about if the Wi-Fi doesn't work on your plane, they should refund your $19.95?
It's so clear. Breaking up the nuclear family, taking kids away at 2 for re-education.
Well, we don't have, obviously Marxists don't have to do that. There's plenty of them coming across the southern border. We'll just re-educate them.
Tell the parents if they have gender problems, take care of it. The state will take care of it.
Yeah, we're going to send kids to gender reassignment institutions, state gender reassignment institutions. That's in there. It's got to be what? Is that number 15?
And then look, if you just need one last indication. I had about 10. I don't have time for it. I'll give you one last indication.
Yeah, just go off the notes, Rudy. Give it to us from the heart.
What's going on right now in Cuba? I'm very, very close to the Cuban community. Very, very close. I spent a lot of time with them, and I spent a lot of time in Florida. And
yeah, okay.
Those demonstrations going on in Cuba, why is the White House afraid to say that it's in order to overthrow a completely brutal, godless, homicidal communist regime? A communist regime,
right,
who originally imprisoned people with AIDS and even executed them.
Right. What did they not say this? I mean, not say it. I mean, they didn't use your words,
and
I suppose.
Hollywood supports them.
Supports what? He's squeaking chair.
An island that is falling apart, that used to be on the way to being a paradise.
And then what?
Why can't they say that this is obviously because the economic program of communism and the dictatorship of communism destroyed that island?
Well, that's why Obama opened up relationships with the island to get them so people could go back and forth and open, in the same, and then Trump stopped it. What?
And many of its best people fled. Some lived, some died. It's an example of tyranny. Why? Why the sympathy for communism?
Where? Where's the sympathy for fucking communism?
Why can't Biden say it? Why can't Psaki say it? Instead, it's they're all upset about their vaccines. I don't know, the Cuba Libre signs and the American flags and the pictures of Trump kind of indicate this isn't about vaccines, huh? And even if it's partially about vaccines, it's about a broken down system in which hundreds of thousands of people have died.
That's what all the articles about it say. What
by
part
a,
of
by a brutal homicidal maniac, Fidel Castro, his brother, and his compatriots.
Shemp Castro, in case you're wondering.
That somehow the woke left completely misrepresented to the American people. Maybe because he flattered their weak egos. He never
When did Raul Castro flatter
my weak ego.
Well, no, he did, definitely. Nothing could.
Maybe it's not that weak. When I threw Arafat out of the United Nations, I didn't have to throw a celebration. I didn't have to throw Castro because I barred him. And I barred him from every event in New York City.
And then you went straight to a bar yourself, I heard.
I was told I couldn't do it. And I said, test it. I got cops. What do you got? Jesus. I don't like
Curly Castro was my favorite too. Yeah.
Dictators. And I don't like murderers. Castro's both. His brother is both. And all the people around them are. I like presidents who, call people out directly. Biden's a disgrace for letting so much time go by and let those people in the street wither away.
There's been a statement from that.
That's how you get people killed. I know you're impaired, but you're not that impaired. I wish there was
apparently
somebody around you had a conscience.
Well, obviously, somebody does, but they can't get their hand up his ass to do the puppet thing.
But it shows me your sympathy for communism. This is a great moment for the Cuban people. Every American who cares about freedom and liberty is with them. And every American who cares about freedom and liberty despises the communist regime, the godless, murderous, homicidal communist regime of Cuba.
Oh, God.
And we want them to succeed. And we want them
We do not want the communists to succeed, Rudy.
to be free. And we want them to have a government in which they can make their own decisions.
Jesus Christ. Hold on 1 second. I need to check something. I've been going long, so give me a second. Be right back. Hi, sorry, I had to check on food for a second for everybody. Whoops, wrong screen. There we go. All right. I looked at the time and I was like, wow, I've gone over. So give me 1 second. Let's bring this guy back up.
They can believe in God and worship God if they want. They can have their own businesses, and they can be as successful as the wonderful Cuban people who came to America and are probably one of our most successful immigrant groups in the twinkling of an eye.
Yeah, that's all. Nobody sells twinkles like the Cuban people.
Because these are very good, strong people. You give them one opening toward liberty, that island will turn around in 10 years.
Well, Obama did, dumb fuck, and Trump shut it down.
And it'll be another showplace for the wonders that can be done by freedom, democracy,
Right, we support those things. Trump shut it down. Why?
the rule of law, decency, and capitalism. Thank you. And please, stay in close touch now. We're going through very, very dangerous times. I have a weekly alert also. I may even expand that as they continue to move closer and closer towards socialism. So I keep warning you.
Yeah, we'll get part of his weekly Rudy socialism watch.
And I'm going to develop a system in which we can notify each other. So stay in
Yeah, it's sort of like an Amber Alert, but with Marxism.
close touch. Stay in close touch with the podcast
Yeah, well, I'll just call to check in with your podcast every so often.
at rudyscommonsense.com. The alert right now is on Mondays. We may expand it. I will let you know. And of course,
Yeah, you're probably going to need at least 3.
I'm on WABCradio.com every day between 3 and 4. And then with Dr. Maria Ryan Uncovering the Truth, which has become very, very
Ridiculous, fucked up, anti-vax.
successful and very interesting show that people seem to really like. And that's between 10 and 11 Eastern time on WABCradio.com. So I think this is a time in which we all have to stay in close touch.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You know what? Hold that thought though. I'm gonna have to check my calendar. Shit. I got a lot going on right now. I'm just worried.
And I also mean with a lot of my colleagues who are getting to you the information you know, because if you don't get it through us, you're not going to get it.
Right. Yeah, definitely. I mean, if I wait on like science and true journalists to give me what you're giving me, Rudy, I'll never get it.
And then we could fail, and we don't want to fail.
No, we don't want it. We don't want it. We want you to, I mean, I don't care if you fail, but I don't want to fail.
We've got to save this country. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. Any questions you have, please contact me.
Sure.
We'll be back very, very shortly. God bless you, and God bless our great country.
Rudy Giuliani's common sense is ready to hit the airwaves. It's a really old picture of me when I was a young man. Oh, yes. And cut to black. That's it. Shit. That was just... Hold on. Let's scroll this guy down. What's happening? Here we go. Let me go back to this. Thanks for... sorry, today was a long show today. Today was a long show today? I can say today as many times as I want. It's a commie thing. Holy hell. Oh. That's just... Anytime we open up the Rudy can of worms, it's bad. That one, I should have known ahead of time, because it was not... Normally they're about a half an hour, and this one was like 53 minutes long. God damn. And he just went off into these cul-de-sacs of bullshit. Thanks, folks, for hanging in there with me. Man, yes, that was painful.